Welcome to the Agent Upgrade Podcast with your hosts Jasmine Krnjetin and Alan Corey, where we learn the strategies of top producing real estate agents so you have the tools to upgrade your own real estate career.
Alrighty, another episode of Agent Upgrade. Excited to see you again, Jasmine. How you doing?
Doing great. How are things in your world?
It's good. I'm in Atlanta and doing the daily grind, but you're able to do the daily grind from abroad. What do you know?
Yes.
Where are you right now?
Yes, we've been in Europe for the last few weeks, I guess. We spent some time in London, and then we went to Paris for a little bit. The crazy thing is, most of you know, I'm Serbian, grew up in Europe. I'd never been to Paris before. I don't know how. I'd been to like the zoo in France, and I hit all around it. And we went to Paris for the weekend. I thought, because it's just like a 2-hour train from London to Paris. And once we got there, oh my God, that place is amazing.
Yes.
I got sucked in. I was like, I cannot leave. So luckily, one of our good friends and real estate agents has an apartment in Paris. So he let us totally like crash at his place for a week. And, I feel like, in America, we're busy. We're busy, making money. We're very serious. We're very productive. And I feel like in Paris, they're just very, very busy living their lives, like living.
Yes.
Like it's like drinking wine and eating bread is serious business.
Yes. I hear so many stories of like the Americans coming in and saying, hey, we could run this business more efficiently. We can do this. And they're like, no, that would mean we can't drink wine in the park for 4 hours every day.
Yeah.
But you make more money. We don't want to make more money. We want a good life.
It's so fascinating because, I kind of come from, I grew up in a 400 square foot apartment. Like I'm European, I understand the lifestyle here, but the French, oh my God, dude, they've taken this whole thing to another level. Like it's the meaning of it all is just in the living, like, sitting down by the river, having your baguette and your bottle of wine and just hanging out. That's it. That's all you need to do. Like life is perfect. Life is at its best right then and there. There is no rushing around. There's nothing crazy to do. It was really, really refreshing. And it definitely is making me kind of like, I try to soak in as much of that. And like, when I come back to the grind, I'm going to be like, okay, remember, it's all about like enjoying today, like this life that we're creating, whether it's here in America, Europe, wherever, like it's about like really loving your life, like right now.
And to sort of bring this back to Agent Upgrade, like we talk about work-life balance a lot. That's very important to both of us. And I think if you do have that balance and you're living your life, you actually do better at work. And I feel like if you're doing better at work, you live a better life. Like you can have both, and you actually see improvements in both. So
and you have to take the time to, you have to take the time to recharge. Even though this has been a working trip to a certain extent, because the advantage of the time difference, right? So I've got all morning, I'm able to run around and see the sights and all that. And then by 3:00 in the afternoon, I can still get on with a team and talk about loans, talk to clients, because it's only 9 a.m. back home. So I like the advantage of like being able to live a full day and then get to work. But yeah, it's really important to also just kind of like taking the time to like see things from a different perspective, experience different cultures. And then also get to a place where you kind of miss home, and then you want to get back into your life, and doing the laundry and not eating out and all of that. You kind of get to that place after you've been on vacation for long enough. You're like, I just want to like let me just use my own washing machine. These European washers and dryers are weird. Let me just tell you.
Right.
So yeah, it's been fun, but I everybody should make time to pause, whether it's, just taking a little bit of a break at home and just, pretending that you're in Paris and finding a good baguette and some wine.
Right. Yeah. No, that's jealous. But I'm glad you're able to do it. And it's also, it's funny. Like when I see you on vacation, it's inspirational for me to I need to take time to relax. I need to go do those things. And that sort of brings us to what we've been doing recently on Agent Upgrade Podcast. One, we want more guests. I've been trying to reach out to agents and calling them and saying, come be a guest on the show. And obviously different agents have different comfort level sharing their business or just being on a podcast. But if you are listening to us and you have a fun story to share, call us. Let us know. We are looking for guests. And if you think you don't have a fun story to share, I promise you that you do. And I promise you that Jasmine and I will do a great job to pull it out of you. I feel like that's what we've done every episode, because every guest we have is like, why are you talking to me? And what are we talking about? And I feel like they all turn into very engaging conversations. So we'd love to help promote you and hear your stories, whether you're a beginner, a mid-tier agent, towards veteran. Every step of the way, I promise you, other people are going through what you're going through, have the same questions or whatever solutions that you've had to your problems. Other people have those problems. So please don't hesitate to reach out to either me on social media at the House of AC or Jasmine at Jasmine Mortgage Team, or follow the Agent Upgrade Podcast on our social media feeds as well. We are monitoring all those places to hear, your feedback, but also we'd love to have more guests. So in that regards, combination of trying to get guests to join us, but also you're traveling and I'm traveling and overlapping schedules and time zones. We've done a recent thing where we're taking some of my House of AC, which is a real estate investing podcast, and sort of re-releasing the ones that we feel like there's some overlap here. So this is one of those episodes. We're going to reshare one that I made for people who are thinking about getting their license and just getting started kind of thing. This is a beginner podcast that I made when I was learning to be starting the House of AC. I wouldn't necessarily say you're going to learn anything profound if you already have your license, you've got 5 or 6 deals under your belt. But this is what I share to people, because if you're good at what you do and at a closing, you're going to get people to say, oh, I want to be a real estate agent, because it feels like, oh, you made it look easy. Like, oh, you just made a lot of money. I should do this because you made it look so easy, right? So this is an episode I share to those people where it's like, hey, we made it look easy. It's really not easy behind the scenes. So hopefully you'll find some benefit in it as well, learning just the basics and what new agents are going through. And thanks for tuning in to Agent Upgrade and following us. And then I hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome to the House of AC. I'm AC, and this is my house. Excited to do another live stream for you today. Happily answer your questions as we go along. Thank you to those tuning in later, whether you're watching this on my Facebook group, the House of AC Facebook page later, watching these after the fact, or seeing past episodes, you're listening to the podcast. However you're digesting this content, thank you. I appreciate your comments and reviews. And if you haven't thumbs up or liked or left a review for me, please do. That's all I ask. I try to give you everything I can, give you all the tools I can to help you succeed in a bunch of different practices around money and real estate and careers and entrepreneurship. Just tell me like what you hear. I appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about being a real estate agent. I have a lot of different moving parts within this real estate world. I get a bunch of different questions, a lot from real estate investing, property management, being a real estate broker, flipping homes, new construction, all that. And so I just want to focus one episode on being a real estate agent. I get this question asked a lot, and this comes back to 2 recent data points that have made some headlines recently. One, there's actually more real estate agents, licensed real estate agents, than there are real estate listings. That's right. 3 times as many people have a real estate license as properties that are for sale. So obviously it's difficult to make this a successful career for majority of people. Part 2, the most searched jobs during this great resignation that we're in, where people are sort of reevaluating their career, their life, the coronavirus, working from home. Do they want to take the crap from their day job anymore? Number one most searched job, how to become a licensed real estate agent. So these things keep popping up. This is an evergreen stat. Why are there so many people who want to be real estate agents? And how come there's so many people that are licensed real estate agents and yet they fail to actually produce and make it a career? I think the average real estate salary is somewhere in the $35,000 to $40,000 range. That's mainly because you've got people who don't ever make anything way holding down that salary range compared to a lot of people who kind of make it rain. It's the Pareto Principle, definitely in the real estate market. And if you're not familiar with that, it's also called the 80-20 rule, where 20% of all the work getting done, 20% of all the sales are, I'm sorry, I said that. I've been stumbling since the beginning of this. Maybe I should start over. The Pareto Principle, 80-20. 20% of the agents are going to have 80% of the deals. That's what I'm trying to say. And that is definitely true. It's going to be this, every market, any market, the top 20% of the agents are going to be doing 80% of the deals. So I want to teach you how to be in those top 20%. I think there's enough to go around. It's very difficult to start your career as a real estate agent because what happens is, hey, how do you learn to be a real estate agent? Well, you go talk to other real estate agents and they're going to be reluctant to talk to you because now you're the competition. I try to explain this to everyone who's like, Alan, I want a piece of, take you out to lunch, a piece of your brain. I want to take you out to coffee. And I'm like, I'm happy to, because I'm a nice guy. But also I want you to understand that you're asking your competition to train you. So most people do not want to ever meet you for coffee or lunch. Does that make sense? Because a lot of times people don't get it. They get the license and they think, hey, my brokerage is going to teach me. Guess what? Your brokerage is super busy. They will allow anyone who can fog a mirror to walk into that brokerage because they've got a license. And then they say, hey, have at it. Go sell some things because I get a cut. I'm sort of incentivized to teach you to sell, but they're super busy people and you're going to have your mileage will definitely vary depending on your brokerage. And I promise you, it doesn't matter what brokerage you join, you're going to be disappointed by their training. It's just not set up for that. And you're thrown in the deep end, sink or swim. That is the career of being a real estate agent. So what do I get out of it? Why do I teach people? Well, I think there's enough for everyone to succeed. One, two, even though you're my competition, I know you're human and you're probably not going to follow majority of my advice. A lot of people take all the advice in and they'll say, well, I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to do that. That's not for me. That's not my personality. And that's okay. Everyone's different. And you might find your own way. What I'm going to tell you today, we're not reinventing the wheel. These are proven success steps to being successful as a real estate agent. And, of course, if you follow all the advice, I think you're going to succeed. But I also know it's difficult to follow every single piece of advice that you hear. You pick and choose, and I think you should. And you should learn from other real estate agents and brokerages and training and get a collective knowledge base to pick and choose from. But the fact is, you have to do something. Doing nothing is obviously going to produce the results of nothing. Doing something will produce something. That's how everything in life works. I love writing books and learning through books. So I do not have a book yet to pitch you and to turn you on to that I've written myself, but I'll share some books that I've learned that I think and highly recommend. The first is Michael Gerber. I read his E-Myth, which is just a book for any entrepreneur. And then he's got little different flavors for different professions. So here's the E-Myth, Real Estate Agent by Michael Gerber. The E meaning entrepreneur, the entrepreneur myth, like what it takes to be a good entrepreneur. If you're just a regular entrepreneur, the E Myth is one of my favorite books of all time. And then here's one for the real estate agent. What is this? The Blue Blood, the Blue Chip, the long time standing book by Gary Keller of Keller Williams, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. This is sort of the Bible everyone starts with. It's a little dated. This was written before social media and has a lot to do with cold calling and sending postcards and stuff. It works. The old school way works. It just doesn't touch upon more of the new way of doing business. And that's okay. got to get that collective body of knowledge, right? And here's David Green. I really like what David Green has to say. He's a co-host of the Bigger Pockets podcast, where I was interviewed on episode 466, if you want to check that one out. But his book, Sold: Every Real Estate Agent's Guide to Profitable Business. I think this is straight to the point. It's fewer pages than the rest, but it's condensed content, and that's easy reading. So those are 3 books I'd start with. If you're a book type of person, but I'm guessing maybe you're not, which is why you're listening to this or watching this. Maybe you like to learn through videos or podcasts. So I'll teach you through this medium. I think it starts with telling you a little bit about myself, and how I became a real estate agent. I'm a real estate agent in the Atlanta area, and have been doing big numbers comparative to other agents ever since I've started. I just came out of the gate blasting. So how did I do that? Well, I had a day job. I worked at a tech startup here in Atlanta, and I had people begging me to get my real estate license. This was before I became a realtor. I had 5 to 6 people who were saying, Alan, we want to buy a house. Please, will you get your real estate license? And I reluctantly got my license. And I was making good money at my day job, 6 figures. Helping these 6 people in the first 3.5 months while I had a day job, I made 6 figures in commission. And at that point, I said, okay, I worked 3.5 months as a real estate agent part-time, and I made more than my 12 months of full-time salary. Maybe this is for me. Maybe all these people in my circle knew what was best for me. And that's when I decided to jump all in. So how did I get these people begging for me? Well, it comes down to 3 things that we're going to cover today. You need 1, people to trust you. 2, people to understand what your brand is. And 3, people to know about you. Those are the 3 steps to becoming a successful real estate agent. Once again, I'll repeat that. The 3 keys that I think, if I had to condense it down to just 3 things to be a successful real estate agent, it's 1, people need to trust you. 2, people need to understand your brand. And 3, people need to know about you. So let me break down that story and how I got a rocket ship started as a real estate agent based on those 3 principles. First of all, people trusted me. And this is a key in any sales position. No one wants to deal with someone who doesn't trust themselves. And so I feel like people trusted me based because I was doing a decent job at work. It doesn't mean I have to be the best performing person at a job, but I was consistent. If there was a meeting, I'd show up at the meeting on time. If there was an action item at the end of that meeting, I always produced that action item. Whenever the due date was done, I was reliable. And that you just need to be trustworthy and reliable in whatever you're doing right now. If you tell an agent, hey, or even a client, hey, I'm going to call you at 2 p.m. to give you an update, you do that. Even if the update is, I don't have an update yet. You promised the client, you set expectations, and you have to follow through. So that is a big part of this business, is setting expectations and living up to those expectations and following through. If you give bad feedback, do it on the phone. Don't hide behind a text message. Don't do it over an email. I learned this in my day job. It's much better to deliver bad news face to face, whether it's to my boss or to a client or whatnot. Hey guys, we're not perfect. There's been a mistake, or we can't deliver this on time. Let me tell you why, and let me look you in the eyes when I do it. This all translates to the real world of being a real estate agent as well. A lot of people think, I hear a lot of stories like this. I got fired from my job for being tardy. I mouthed off to my client or my boss. All these sort of discipline issues and unreliable issues, sort of the chaotic, outburst. And then they're like, well, I lost my job, and there was the 3rd time I got fired, but I'm going to get my real estate license so I can work for myself and also be my own boss and make my own hours. And to me, that's shocking. Like, why is you not being able to succeed at your day job mean you're going to succeed in a career where all those same skills matter. It transfers over. So if you recognize yourself in any of those patterns or viewpoints, possibly you're at the wrong place and it's not a right fit, but you're going to have clients that you're going to feel that same way, that maybe you're not the right fit for, or they're not holding up their end of the bargain. And you just have to be trustworthy and reliable and handle those difficult situations. And sometimes it's not the client. I promise you, most times it's dealing with the other real estate agent. And that other real estate agent might not be the most professional or reliable. And they're going to do everything they can to make you look bad. And you've got to keep your cool and earn your client's trust. So it's just your overall demeanor and how you live up to expectations is going to carry you in this business. You got to be consistent and deliver when you said you're going to deliver. So part 2 of this, people need to understand your brand. I just did a great episode last week with Justin Schaeffer about branding. He's a brand consultant, and you should check out that episode. It's just a great hour-long interview with him on creating your brand. But your brand is what, best said by Jeff Bezos, your brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. Do they say you're trustworthy? Do they say this person knows about real estate? Do they say, that person's a great salesperson or a hustler, flaky? Like, you can have a good brand and you can have a bad brand. It's how people are going to describe you. And it doesn't necessarily relate to being real estate a lot of times, right? Is this person polarizing, whether it's on social media or, drinks too much? All that sort of stuff is your brand, whether you know it or not. Being likable, everyone wants to do someone that they trust and that they're likable. Your brand should be likable in some regards. I've seen people sort of create their brand as sort of, Michael Jordan wants to sell shoes to everyone. And so he would never take sides politically because he says Republicans and Democrats both need to buy shoes. And so that's some people's approach, and it works really well. Let's cast a wide net possible, as wide as net as possible. And I believe in that. I think that being sort of, open to as much business as possible is good. But I've also interviewed a lot of people on my sister podcast, the Agent Upgrade podcast, where all we do is talk to other top performing real estate agents. And you should check that out. If you're listening to this episode, check out the Agent Upgrade podcast with Jasmine and Alan. That is our podcast where we only talk about real estate agency. But I've had people there successfully say, listen, my viewpoints are this, and they're on this side of the spectrum, and I will talk about this only on my social media, and I live it and I breathe it, and this is me, and I not apologetic about it. And what's great is that if your clients see that, they're either going to say, I want to work with that person because I also feel strongly about that's those sides of politics, right? And so it's sort of self-serving. You weed out the clients you don't want to work with because you understand that you maybe have a difficulty with some subset of clients, and you promote only within a very narrow niche, but you're also going to attract clients within that very, very narrow niche. So that's a very good branding exercise as well. Do you want to do that? Do you want to be the person who only has, a certain spectrum of business? You can be an expert in that niche. Also, I feel like being a real estate niche is very, very important. So take your brand, and that's you personally, but then also take your brand within real estate. Are you someone who's knowledgeable and knows a lot about condos downtown? Are you someone who knows something about new construction in the suburbs? Are you someone that knows about off-market properties for investors? This sort of niche is really going to be the defining point of your career at the very, very beginning. It doesn't mean you can't, expand off that niche later on. But when you're first trying to make a name for yourself, I would say go all in on one niche. So why were clients sort of clamoring to work with me is that people knew that I was a real estate investor. it just, whenever people talk to me, I would say, what are you working on this weekend? Oh, I bought this real estate investment. I bought this rental. I'm fixing this flip. I partnered with this builder. We're building a new house. I was not a realtor. I was just sharing my stories, and people knew that this is stuff that I did as a hobby on the side, and I was passionate about it and I enjoyed it. And so what happened is when people started buying their house, they would say, "Hey, Alan, I know you're flipping a house. Do you have a house that is, in this neighborhood at this price point? Or you're building a new house. Could you build a new house for me over here? I found an empty lot." And so my brand was just someone who was getting their hands dirty in real estate. And so I was trustworthy at work. I was building brands, building a niche and a brand for myself organically. This had no forethought. This is me reflecting back on how I became successful quickly. And it was people sort of knew me as a real estate guy, even though it wasn't my full-time job. Which brings me to the third thing people need to know about you. And what I mean by that is, well, you could be number one expert in some niche, but if no one knows about it, then that you can't leverage that to building a business around it. I was at a startup that was really cool, and they would do lunch and learns. Anyone could volunteer to give a subject on lunch and learns, and it needed to have nothing to do with the company. So I attended other people's lunch and learns. I learned about different types of unicycles and how to ride a unicycle. Another person, it was actually the same person, taught a class the next week on all the different types of keyboards that you can use. There's the clickety clack ones and the soft touch ones and different arrangements of the letters. I learned so much about keyboards in that hour, and he was so passionate and interested about it. I was passionate and interested in it. What else did I learn about? Bodybuilding, female bodybuilder. We had a female bodybuilder who worked with us and the entering competitions and the diets. And it was interesting because the person presenting was so, deep into it, way down the rabbit hole, which got me excited about it. So then I presented about real estate investing and how to evaluate a deal, and shared some of the stories as a way to, hey, I want to be part of this lunch and learn. And then from that's how I got those 7 clients. I presented to maybe 50 people in the company, and at this lunch and learn, just on a whim, share knowledge. And all of a sudden, these people were like, "Alan, be my real estate agent. I want to know this. I want to buy rental property. I want to buy primary residence. Please be my realtor. Please be my realtor." So that's how people knew about me, knew that I did this, and it escalated from there. Now, 5 years prior to that, people also knew me as a real estate person. I was on multiple reality TV shows, and a few of them I was a real estate investor. I was made over on season 1 of Queer Eye for the Straight Guy as a young real estate investor. I had written a book called $1 Million by 30, right over my shoulder here. It wasn't purely a real estate investing book, but I would say 50% of my wealth at that period of time was created by real estate. And so within the network, without being a real estate agent, everyone knew me as a real estate guy. I was just promoting, I was sharing education again, and it just came back to me, oh, this guy knows real estate. People knew about me, right? So all this sort of piled on top of each other. And so I want to distill all these things that happened, and I sort of reluctantly became a real estate agent and try to distill them to new agents. So to recap, if you're just joining, people need to trust you, number 1. People need to understand your brand, 2, and people need to know about you, number 3. So how can people know about you now and what you're doing? Well, obviously social media is key for that, and it's free and it's cheap, and you just need to provide a value. Every time I try to do this live stream, try to do something on social media, write in an email to a client or past client or a potential client. It's all value, right? If I send an email that's, here's 3 open houses this weekend, and just blast it to 10,000 people, that's not providing value to 10,000 people. It might provide value to 15 people on that list, right? I would imagine it would provide value to the 15 people who are looking for open houses in that price range in that neighborhood. And so whenever I send an email, the average, I think MailChimp has a stat that average real estate email that a realtor sends is like a 2.5% open rate. Mine is a 50% open rate. And that's because I try to only send stuff where it doesn't go to spam. People want to read it, and it's providing value. And so that's sometimes education, something like in educating people about mortgage options, educating them about the trends in the housing market. Why are prices the way that they are? What does this mean? Is it scary? Providing value is always going to make you grow. It's going to create that trust that's so important. And it's also going to establish your brand, that you're someone that's knowledgeable and can bring value to the table. And people are going to know about you because you're reaching out to share this knowledge. And being an author, I written 3 books. I felt comfortable at first putting everything in an email because I like to write. I enjoy writing, and I feel like I can explain and educate through writing. That was my sort of skill set that I recognize. And other agents were doing the same thing, and they happened to be really good artists, and they would make very pretty graphic designs and arts and cartoons and putting it up on social media. And I was so jealous because I was like, I don't have that, and I wish I could. I wanted to make a pretty picture or a great graph. That wasn't my skill set, but maybe that's yours. But if you're providing value in that medium, then do it. Some are more natural talking. Do a podcast, do a live stream, right? If you're whatever your neighborhood is, I've shared this on the Agent Upgrade podcast. If you want to be an agent known for $1 million listings, it's very simple. All you have to do is go to every single $1 million listing within a 10 minute or 10 mile radius of your house. Film yourself walking through. Just book a showing by yourself. Film yourself on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, with a selfie stick, walking through every $1 million listing. Why is that beneficial? Well, now what you're doing is, now I know that you are an agent that works within $1 million price points. I might not have known that before, but now that I've seen you every single day or every, once a week, showing me every single $1 million listing, then I'm like, oh, you're providing me value if I'm a $1 million buyer. Now you're looking like an expert, right? Because you're only showing me $1 million things. If you're all over the place, if you're showing me a $100,000 condo, then you're showing me a duplex investor rental, and then a $1 million listing with a beautiful swimming pool, it's like, okay, this person is all over the map and feels a little desperate. Like, what is this person's niche? When you're starting out, when you get bigger, then obviously you can branch out other ways. But if I'm watching you and I'm a consumer of your content and I'm your colleague or something like that, I'm like, oh, Susie's great at $1 million listings. That's all she talks about. Right. It could be condos. Like, I know agents very successful. They live in, we had Nathan Bingley, episodes releasing tomorrow on Agent Upgrade tomorrow podcast. And he's known as the broker of certain buildings in Chicago where you've got 200, 300 units. And it's like, oh, you got to talk to Nathan. He owns that. And how did he do that? Well, he knows everything about that, what everything's sold for, every floor plan. He's got all the marketing materials, knows the board members of those different condos and units, and he just cultivated that over time. And that's his brand and that's his niche. So you really got to pinpoint those things. Other ways to sort of launch your career is you've got to put in the work. And a lot of times that's hosting open houses for other agents. Successful real estate agents are super busy. They're going to have multiple listings at once, multiple open houses all being held at the same time, because usually they're held on the same 2-hour window on the weekend, and you can't be at multiple places at once. So I got my start. Once I quit my day job, I was very nervous, and I just started hosting everyone's open houses. And this was great because then this continues my third point of letting people know about you. I got to meet real live buyers. They got to meet, sometimes for the first time, a real live real estate agent. We are meeting each other. And so they may want to buy that house that they're looking at. 9 times out of 10, they're just curious. They're not ready to buy because that's why they're at an open house. Otherwise, if they had a real estate agent, they would have seen it before the open house. And so that's a great way to meet. And they look at me for the first time as a full-time real estate agent, not someone who has a day job doing real estate on the side. And I get to meet clients that are outside my network. And I would build their trust by telling them everything about this house, everything about that neighborhood, get their info at the open house, and then follow up with them, right? Give them that value created content on the follow-up. And this worked wonders. My first $1 million clients were from working open houses for a $1 million agent in my neighborhood while I was new and just got my license. So a lot I've just dropped on you, but it all comes back to consistency, right? And doing things. It's not something you can do part-time and be good at it. You could make some money, but it's going to take getting your license, getting your testing, and getting your continuing education. But think of it this way. It's going to be so much easier to convince someone to work with you if you say, this is all that I do. If you're working a day job and you're like, oh, I also got my real estate agent license, you're not going to get the clients that are ready to buy. You're going to get people who maybe someone interested, maybe a few friends and family, but it's not going to be a sustainable career path because it's all about getting your reps in. If you're trying to train for, anything, if you're an actor and you're trying to learn your lines, it's repetition, getting your reps in. If you're trying to be a dancer and you need to learn your dance steps, it's I keep saying reputation, but repetition, but reputation goes along with that. If you have a reputation for repetition, then, oh man, you got an alliteration somewhere in there that probably would make it for a good t-shirt. That being said, putting in the reps. And so, my first 3-4 deals, looking back, I was winging it. I was terrible. I tried to ask other agents for help. Some were more receptive than others, but again, they're my competition. But each deal that you do, you get better at it. So I have the House of AC real estate investing flywheel, which basically means, a flywheel is a J.L. Collins an analogy in his book, Good to Great, where you push this very heavy steel drum of a flywheel, and it takes so much strength and momentum to keep it going. But then once you make that first spin around the flywheel, the momentum sort of keeps pushing it. So it's a little bit easier second time around. Third time, he starts gaining up speed. Fourth, fifth, it gets easier and easier and easier. So that's the same way. You want to have those reps and getting deals done. Say, having potential clients say no to you, earning clients' trust at open house. It's so hard, like going to the gym starting January 1st. You haven't been to the gym in 5 years. This is a personal story. It's so hard to get going again, right? The first time it's difficult, but once it becomes routine and then you're doing it for, 30th day in a row, which is what I'm doing right now with this live stream. I mean, first times it's difficult. It's tough. I feel like I'm getting better at it and getting more reps doing this live stream every single day, weekday now for 6 weeks. It gets easier. I'm getting better. It doesn't mean I'm perfect, but I'm definitely better than I was 6 weeks ago. So same sort of thing happens being a real estate agent, just getting those transactions, getting those numbers in and spinning them around. I'll take a quick break here, guys. If you're looking for questions, please, if you have questions to ask, post them in the comments. Thank you for tuning in, and also like and subscribe as you're watching as well. So I see you guys on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Discord and Twitch as well. So what else can you do to kind of generate your business in Rockstar? Your branding is going to help. In this, what I mean by this is, if you have a Gmail, Hotmail, AOL email address, you'll look like an agent that's doing it part-time, whether you are or not. It's just first interaction, some email. It just looks like, oh, this is a personal email. At least get your own email address. It could maybe cost you $15 to go get a domain and set up your own email address. You can run it through Gmail. You can run it through Hotmail, Yahoo. It's just going to say Alan at real estate company that you just made up.com. That makes you look more legit. And what happens is now start using that as your email address. You're presenting that to the world, and you don't know where your leads are going to come. You could be sending an email to a school teacher about your child's absence, or sending it to some volunteer organization you're a part of, and just communicating, asking, hey, when's the next event? And all of a sudden, you're not even saying I'm a real estate agent to people, but you are saying it subtly. And over time, you exchange enough emails, people are going to start recognizing you as a real estate person based on your email address. That's quick and easy, simple way to really kind of start branding yourself out there. What other things, touch points throughout the year. This is a huge part of Gary Keller's book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. He makes a good point, and I believe this, that probably everyone knows about 5 or 6 real estate agents, because there's so many people that are licensed real estate agents. People will have 5 at 6. But when someone asks them to refer or recommend, or do you know a real estate agent? Do you think they're given a list of 5 or 6? No, they're going to give one. So how are you going to be that one person in the brain fighting for attention out of 5 or 6 real estate agents that people know? It's going to be a lot of touch points, according to Gary Keller. And so what he does, he's got something that says basically every 2 weeks, you've got to be in front of your sphere of influence. Your sphere of influence is everyone that's friends in your network, somehow that you have a soft point to. That's your sphere of influence. You've got to touch them every 2 weeks. And this could be liking their social media profile, you putting up something on social media, having them like your content because it's providing value. It could be sending a postcard. It could be inviting them to a birthday party. It could be saying, hey, seeing your name in a magazine that you advertised in. Just being top of mind. That's all it is, being top of mind, and finding a way to battle out all those other real estate agents in their head, so that when someone says, do you know a real estate agent? You can say, talk to Alan Corey, right? And this might be, I should have led with this. If you're looking to join a team in the Atlanta area, I'm growing my team. I'm happy to join your team. Or I'm happy to see if you're a good fit to join my team. If you're national, I'm also now a mentor nationally for real estate agents across the nation. So you don't have to be limited to Atlanta. If you're thinking about your license in different cities or states, please reach out. I want to be a mentor nationally. I learn to become a better agent by hearing what other agents are struggling with or going through or getting licensed. So it's mutually beneficial to both of us, being a mentor and a mentee. A lot of people don't see it that way. They don't want to share their information with their competition, but I do. I'm happy to do that. So please reach out to me, and we'll have those discussions. So let's do a deep dive now on these 3 points. First, can people trust you, right? So this extends from your daily life into being their trusted advisor. A lot of ways to earn their trust, especially once you start the relationship, is to say, this is what to expect, and this is how it's going to go, the good, bad, and ugly. You say, we're in a crazy market right now. I'm going to do my best to get you to win the house that you have an offer on, but I want to realistically set your expectations. We'll probably lose 5 or 6 bidding wars. That's not because I'm a bad agent, right? That's the market. There's some buyers out there. There's some irrational buyers out there who may put in crazy offers because this home is everything they need. It's their dream home, and they're going to put an offer that makes it be their dream home. You might not consider this house a dream home. And I would imagine if that's the case, you are going to put an offer of what the house is worth to you. And that is what I would recommend as well. If you fall in love with the home, I can't advise you on what it's worth, this house. It's going to be what it is worth to you. I can give you all the data on the financial decision, but sometimes the data doesn't matter if you found the dream house. Sort of set up these expectations up front really helps, because what happens is I've got clients who fired their agent and came to me and said, hey, we've lost 5 bidding wars. And I said, okay, well, that's what I advise my clients that we'll probably do. But they were not prepped for that. They were not expecting that from the beginning. And they've lost trust in the real estate agent because their expectations were not set properly. A lot of that, goes a long way. I do the same with my mortgage lender, sponsor of the show, JASMINE'S.com. And if you're looking for an agent or a mortgage broker relationship, she's great. And she works in 48 different states. Let me put Jasmine Home Lending here, JASMINETeam.com, Jasmine Mortgage Lending. All those URLs go to the same place, Jasmine Krnjetin. She's helped my career tremendously as a real estate agent, because what happens is when you're new, you might not have the tools or the knowledge of what are sort of the gotchas, what are the pitfalls in deals, right? I can get a house under contract, but do I have a team behind me that can close it, whether that's closing attorney or mortgage lender or the contractor or the home inspector that's all giving quotes, right? I'm not knowledgeable. Those are not my expertise, but I need to have experts that are to sort of be in my camp and be in my corner. And so, Jasmine on the lending side saved so many deals, right? I had clients who are using the big banks, Bank of America, the Quickens, Wells Fargo, and those deals weren't closing on time. The appraisals weren't coming in correctly. And so these deals, as a new agent, I just thought, hey, the agent should, or the client should pick whatever mortgage company that they want to. And quickly I learned, hey, you do have the ultimate choice to pick whatever mortgage company you are. I have more success with a local agent who knows all the real estate agents here in town, or can have someone on a member of a team return any sort of email within an hour of reaching out, who will get the appraisal done faster than your appraisal contingency. All these things that happen behind the scenes once someone's under contract, and that they follow through, and they've got that reputation, and they make me look good, right? There's no roller coaster ride in this, where we're moving the closing date, and then we have to reschedule the movers, creating all this stress for your clients. If I can take all that stress and just make it a smooth ride, obviously that makes me look good. That all comes from earning my trust, recommending a contractor who will show up and give a quote during the due diligence period, recommending a closing attorney who's going to get all the paperwork, ask the right questions on day one instead of scrambling for documents right before the closing. This is stuff to kind of suss out over time. And this is also part of getting your reps. I've used different lenders before I settled on Jasmine. I used different contractors than the ones I use now. I used different closing attorneys than the one I use now. It's all sort of, doing those reps, trial and error. And when someone, does a bad job, replacing them, because I've had people say that plumber you sent me did it wrong and didn't show up and overcharged me. And so then I looked like I didn't know what I was doing. That was my brand was being sullied. My trust was being sullied. And so I had to replace that plumber and start giving a different plumber recommendation. It's not that I'm getting a kickback. That plumber runs his own business, charges his own prices. But now that I get a plumber that shows up on time, they make me look good, right? Because that plumber now gets so much business from me. They're going to show up. They're going to give the best quote, and that plumber does more business. I do more business. It's all sort of happens naturally. This is stuff I wish I knew when I just got my license. I just learned this as I went, and looking back, all these sort of things just sort of fell in my lap. How else can we, make for a successful start? It's getting your knowledge wherever you can. Podcasts. I've got a whole program for new agents that join my team, whether naturally or that I'm mentoring, that I put them through, an online program that I've created, just lessons learned. I think another thing is difficult potentially and this is me maybe being old and old school. A lot of people want to communicate only by text message. And I think that works well, but I promise you, if you get ghosted, you're more likely going to get ghosted by a potential client if you never met them face to face. People do not want to upset someone that they've sat down and had a coffee with, whether at an office or in coffee shop or something like that. You spent the time, you met them, you have a physical in real life interaction. It's going to be difficult for that person to stand you up and switch real estate agents or just ghost you and stop returning your calls. Much more easier to do that to someone you've only exchanged a few text messages with, or maybe a few emails with. Get in front of that person as soon as possible. At a minimum, do a Zoom call. Let them see your face so you can see each other's face. And that will go a long way. And it's nerve-wracking when you're new because you don't know what to say. You don't know what questions to say. But you're not going to learn unless you just jump in the deep end and just ask what type of house that they're looking for and what neighborhoods and what price point. Just get the conversation going and then follow up and provide them content that's valuable. If they say they want a $500,000 house in this neighborhood and you start sending them $300,000 houses that are your listing in a different neighborhood, that does not provide them any value whatsoever. And they're going to start looking bad at you. I know you want to sell that house, but you're not talking to the right audience with that. I think that's it. I think that's sort of I could go deeper on all these things, but I just wanted to share coming out of the gate. It's difficult to do this part-time. It's a full-time job. It's consistency. It's follow through. It's building that reputation of trust. It's being likable. It's building that brand that you have some niche within real estate that you actually enjoy, that you're talking about, that you're promoting, and you're letting people know about it. I'm at this open house again. I'm at this showing. I'm doing another flip. I'm working with another investor. Just be consistent with your messaging and build your brand that way. That's the best way to kind of launch your career from 0 to 100. And if this is something you want to do, happy to help you get there. There's enough business to go around. But again, it's the 80-20 rule. 20% of the agents are going to have 80% of the business. So if you can find your way, work your way, do these things until you're in the top 20%, you will have a very lucrative career, I promise you. And it can happen in any market, in any town. I started from nothing in my town and rose up the ranks by just consistent follow through and expanding my niche and my expertise in real estate and then sharing that knowledge. So that's part of what I'm doing here. This live stream, I'm building a reputation as someone who knows a lot about real estate. Every episode's a different topic on real estate. I'm reaching clients this way. They know, let me think of a real estate agent. There's this guy that shows up in my Facebook feed and on my podcast downloads every single day talking about a new thing of real estate. Good luck to you trying to get in that person's head with more touch points and more knowledge, right? It's taken me 20 years of real estate knowledge. I've only been a realtor for 8 years, but I've been real estate investing for 20 years to have enough to share on a daily basis. We all have to start somewhere, right? So I encourage you to do it. And whether you're on my team or on a different team, happy to talk to you any day about real estate. Like I said, I learned from talking to other real estate agents. I don't, and if we're both battling it out on the same client and you win it, good for you. I will learn something from that. I will learn that I did something inaccurate. I will find out everything I can why you won that listing over me. And I take that and I revise and I go back and keep going at it. So it makes me a better real estate agent. It keeps me on my toes if you do steal business from me. So in some ways, I encourage you to try. And I'll do everything I can to continue, growing my business and growing my team's business. So reach out to me at the House of AC across all my social media channels, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Send me an email on the Facebook, House of AC Facebook page. All that stuff's great. Thank you for tuning in. Best of luck. There is great. I love it. I love being a real estate agent. It's not making your own hours. People think you get to just show up and make your own hours. You work your clients' hours. And what I mean by that is if your clients can only look at homes after, 6 p.m. on weekdays, that's now your schedule. If your clients can only go on the weekends, that's now your schedule. If you're a type of person getting into this business saying, I am going to make my own schedules and I don't want to work weekends and I don't want to work nights, you are not going to be successful. You are definitely only working your clients' hours to at least at the very beginning until you have enough business where you can kind of have some structure to your day. So get that out of your mind that this is an easy make your hour business. You're starting a company, your own company, one employee, and you are responsible for marketing, branding, sales, follow through, accounting, every department you can think of in a company. That's you now, and it's all on your shoulders. So it's not for the lazy, but it's fun and very rewarding. Best of luck to you guys. Thanks for tuning in the House of AC, and I'll see you tomorrow where we're going to talk about real estate again. And so just tune into my Facebook page and my YouTube page to see what that topic is, because I don't know what it is yet. I'm battling a few ideas, but I've got a whole week's of content I got to schedule. Thanks for tuning in the House of AC, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Agent Upgrade Podcast. If you are an agent looking for a new mortgage lender, start with Jasmine at jasmineteam.com. If you want to learn about real estate investing and working with investors, check in with Alan at thehouseofac.com. See you next time on Agent Upgrade.